Because from the one when you settle in, it is for legacy. Haven't you noticed that every president in power is always reluctant to sign electoral reforms in his first term in office? The reason is because he wants to use the jaundiced Electoral Act to rig his own election before, when he wins the second time, when he does not have any other term to contest for, he will not be willing to sign Electoral Act or even constitutional amendment that would take us forward. So, but if it is one term, from the one, the president that is coming in is willing and bold enough to sign every legacy legal reforms that would have made us to be the first to be in the first superpower nation by now. Honestly, we don't have any need for 2 terms of 8 years. One term of...
Will one time fix Nigeria? This simple question has been making waves and sparking heated debates online. Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. It's no longer a news that Peter Obi has vowed to serve for just one time if elected president. But why would anyone aiming to fix a broken system limit themselves to just 4 years? Well, let's break it down. Peter Obi vowed to do a one-time is not just a political gimmick. There is a serious calculation behind it. Sources close to the coalition talks have revealed that some members of the opposition alliance are unwilling to support any candidate aiming for 2 times. This means that in order to get their full backing, Obi is willing to promise he won't recontest, a major sacrifice in Nigerian politics where most leaders fight to stay in power. In a recent interview on AriseTV, Kenneth explained that the goal is to form a strong coalition that puts the people first, not personal ambition. According to him, Peter Obi is determined to lead a government that builds system, empower institutions, and set the foundation for a new Nigeria, even if it is just in 4 years. But here is where the controversy comes in. Can one time truly bring the kind of change Nigeria desperately needs, or is this a risky move that could leave reform half-baked? So this Kenneth interview on AriseTV that I'm about to play for you guys breaks everything all down. In the interview, Kenneth explained why many politicians are not buying into Peter Obi one-time promise. According to him, the Nigerian constitution is clear. A president or a governor has the right to serve a 4 years time. After that, the seat should be open again. But here is the kicker. Kenneth said one of the main reasons politicians don't believe Obi's vow is because they have turned politics into a business. To them, 2 times is not just a right, it's a deal, a package. Even though the constitution doesn't force anyone to complete 2 times, they hold onto it like it's a gold. Kenneth also exposed the bitter truth that elections in Nigeria are no longer free and fair. That's why people don't believe in promises anymore. Even compare it with the politics abroad, where even if you are the sitting president, if you recontest, you are not guaranteed a win. That's democracy, that's free transparency. But here, it's about power and control. And that is why you need to watch this interview to the end so that you can get everything that Kenneth said in the video. So what do you think? Can Peter Obi one-time vow rebuild trust in Nigerian broken political system, or is it just another promise that will fade with time? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section, and don't forget to like, share, and most importantly, subscribe to this YouTube channel.
First and foremost, the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria made it clear. In section 135, subsection 2, and section 180, subsection 2 of the Constitution is very clear. The term of a president or a governor is 4 years. 4 years. The Constitution was direct. He said the president, after spending 4 years in office, vacates his office. At times, politicians behave as if they don't have any job. So when somebody says he's going to spend only 4 years, he simply stated a constitutional provision. But here is just a little addition. The Constitution says you are no longer qualified to contest if you have contested for that position twice in previous elections. And this is by section 137, subsection 1B, and section 187, subsection 1B. So the issue here is this. If you say you want to contest one term, that is your own idea. That is your own opinion. You are entitled to it. In Nigeria and in some African countries, where elections are deemed not to be free and fair, that's where you have all these unnecessary arguments. Why did I say that? Even abroad, you're not sure, even when you're an incumbent, whether if you recontest, whether you will win. That is where you will know that your term of office is not 8 years, it's not 2 terms, it's 1 term. So it ought not to even be a point of argument. Because even if you are an incumbent, if you recontest, you can fail. The only thing the Constitution says is that if you fail 100 times, if you have not been elected twice, you are still qualified to be governor or president. So for me, I do not see any issue whatsoever, except, like you said, distrust of themselves, and 2, because of the belief that there is no free and fair election. If there is free and fair election, then the issue of 2-term, 8 years would not arise. But here is another issue. Because of our rotational arrangement, which has this proposition of 8 years for South, 8 years for North, politicians now do not want to place themselves in a disadvantaged position, because 4 years having been taken by a Southern politician, if you are a fresh politician and you want to do another 8 years, you will know that you are dead on arrival. So it's a political strategy on its own for you to accede that you will do 4 years. It is not because the politician did not want to do 8 years, no. But he knows that he has only 4 years left from the Southern, remaining term. But here is another issue. By agreeing you will do 1 year, you do 4 years, you have also agreed that if there is any other Northerner that say he will do also 4 years, then both of you are at the same level of equity, because there would be no injustice either section. So there's nothing wrong in a party, for instance, especially an opposition party that doesn't have an incumbent, saying in order that Nigerians will be free to trust them, that they are going to have a transitional government whereby whoever is going to contest would have to agree to do 1 term and do not exercise his constitutional rights to recontest. A party can do that, so that whether they present a candidate from the North or from the South, the Nigerians from either section will not feel that they have been betrayed or an injustice meted out to them. For instance, if a Northerner wins in another political party and commits to do 4 years, then what it means is that the South and the North has shared for 4 years, like they did during the Yaradua Goodluck Jonathan period, and there will be no injustice. So there is nothing, absolutely nothing, that ought to raise concerns or arguments. But like you said, a man who kills by the sword does not like people to wave sword at his back. So politicians have made themselves very untrustworthy. So they go the extra mile to prove themselves when they make any proposition.
All right, Mr. Okonkwo, that's noted. A lot of people might have focused on the what in terms of what was said, but you've drawn some focus to the why this move might have been made in terms of the rotational arrangement and being a political strategy. But let's look more, examine at the why a bit closer. Do you think there are any personal reasons that might not be overt for this declaration being made by the aspiring president of Nigeria?
No. It's purely a political strategy. There is nothing hidden about it, because every politician would want to complete his 2 terms if he has the opportunity. But of course, if this were 2023, the same politician and presidential candidate or aspirant would not make the same promise. Like I said, as it stands today, a Southerner has taken 4 years. So it will be political suicide for you to come and say you want to do 8 years. Nobody will vote for you, not even from South or from the North. So it is purely a political strategy, nothing else. Anybody telling you it's because he wants to be like Mandela or want to be like this, no, that's not true. But again, the person may want to tell you that just for you to believe he will do 4 years. He may want to tell you that he can still achieve his basic objectives within 4 years. Just to encourage you to know that he is serious in not trying to exercise his constitutional right to recontest election. So there is nothing beyond political strategy. That's what it is.
All right, some political scientists will usually say that we missed a major turning point in our nascent democracy, whereby we did not see through that particular law or that particular policy that would have become law, whereby it would have been 1 year, 6 years. Do you think Nigeria would have been better off if we had decided to go down that road than trying to do 2 terms or maybe of 8 years?
Now, from day one, from 1999, I have been in support of one-term presidency, one-term executive tenure. And the reason is very clear. The issue of 2 terms have introduced a whole lot of politicization of Nigeria, which leads to division and balkanization, which leads to the elites manipulating the followership with religious and ethnic bigotry that is non-existent amongst them. The reason is this. All this issue of whether the president should appoint the INEC chairman will disappear on its own when you have one-term presidency, because no president will now be able to appoint any INEC chairman that will supervise his own election. If you do 8 years of 2 terms, you don't have 2 years for yourself as a president, because you will use it politicking. So eventually, you will spend state resources, you will spend state time, you will spend the bureaucracy of state for politics. One-term presidency will first and foremost secure the issue of rotation between North and South. And you can now make it constitutional and it will not be breached because you just have 1 term. And when it is 1 term of 6 years, you have nothing to lose if it is 2 terms of 8 years. Because you, from the one when you settle in, it is for legacy. Haven't you noticed that every president in power is always reluctant to sign electoral reforms in his first term in office? The reason is because he wants to use the jaundiced Electoral Act to rig his own election before, when he wins the second time, when he does not have any other term to contest for, he will not be willing to sign Electoral Act or even constitutional amendment that would take us forward. So, but if it is 1 term, from day one, the president that is coming in is willing and bold enough to sign every legacy legal reforms that would have made us to be the first to be in the first superpower nation by now. Honestly, we don't have any need for 2 terms of 8 years. 1 term of 6 years would have been ideal. I supported it from 1999. I've been writing an article about it. It's quite unfortunate because since we don't have free and fair election, that is another way to push us closer to free and fair election, because no president will be willing to have his legacy soiled internationally and nationally that he is an election rigger. So if he is not going to be the one supervising his own election, our election will get cleaner and cleaner until we get to the best time. Our economy will get stronger and stronger because he comes in immediately and he will not talk about using the resources for politics, but using it for development, because he cannot use it for his own election. So it is all good, 1 term, politically, socially, economically, and otherwise. And everybody should please work hard so that we can have it.